it's Willis back with another one. Yeah, I'm heading to sleep. Well, I'm not really sleepy, but I am in that kind of realm. As you can tell by my voice, maybe I should anchor the mic towards my voice. I'm charging my phone simultaneously. Is it charging? Yes, charging. Yeah, I just thought to talk about this little thing that's on my mind right now. I spoke about it on my. I just finished typing about it on my community post, but I thought I could just make a full video about it and see where that ends up. For once, I'm not stressed out. I'm not talking about my business, although there have been some advancements in my business that I presume I'll be talking about in the near future. I most definitely will be talking. It's not a matter of presumption. I most definitely will be talking about them. But for some reason, they're just not weighing heavily on my chest as much as they usually are. And, making way for, a story such as this to take center stage for once. So yeah, let me get into it, dude. This morning, I'm heading into the next day now, but this morning when I woke up from like such a such a. Hold on, before I even describe it to you, but let me explain it. So I had a dream that I kind of feel weird talking about this because it's one thing to type it down on your community post, but then vocalizing it is kind of weird. So I had a dream that my favorite YouTuber, who's like this really young adult dude. In fact, when I started getting into her videos, she was not an adult. She was like 17, I think. By the way, before I even go on, dude, like I'm gonna pause this entire chat because people are gonna try to come back to this video 10 years, 15 years after I've made a name for myself to try to, run me through the dirt and suggest that I'm a pedo. I'm not a pedo. I'm not a pedo, dude. I haven't even said anything yet, but I need to make that very clear. I'm not a pedo. All right? I'm 23. Matter of fact, I take back that I'm 23 sentence because that kind of suggests that you can't be a pedo if you're 23. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant when I brought up the whole 23 thing. So, yeah, she was like 17 when I got into a video. She does like vlogging. She's one of those black pilled. I don't even know what black pilled is. I don't know what she calls herself black pill. So I'm presuming that you as a listener know what black pilled is. Because whenever she does her hashtags and stuff, she'll be sure to make it clear that she's black pilled. I don't know what that is, but then I presume it's adjacent to like very loser behavior. So she identifies with that whole otaku, loser, shut in lifestyle and way of thinking and mentality, Probably, rightfully so, because she might be how do I say this without being offensive? Because you can't even say special anymore without that being offensive. But like she's kind of like I don't want. I don't even. I don't want to. I don't want to use this particular word. It's the R word, but not the R word that you're thinking of. I'm thinking of the word like. I'm thinking of the word regressed. Then that might be a bit like harsh. So just think of some. I almost said some kid, but she's an adult. But I guess I wanted to say that because, like I said, she might be a bit regressed, but then not insanely, dude. Think. I'm overcomplicating this. Think of someone who's really into anime. That's the kind of person I'm talking about. They're so into anime, and they've got a tinge of the spectrum going on potentially, because she goes to therapy and stuff, and I think she attended the special ed classes, I think, maybe, if I recall correctly. But yeah, just think of a kid who really like, and not a kid, again. I'm not helping my case here, but yeah, think of a young adult. She's like 18. That's why I keep trying to say kid, because compared to me, that's a kid, I guess. Cut out that I guess, because these are gonna try to call me a pedo. Yeah, think of a young adult that really likes My Little Pony, likes anime. Yeah, she's black pilled, dude. I basically just spent 5 minutes explaining black pilled behavior, black pilled ideology. She's a shut in. She takes pride in, going a long duration without taking showers and shit. Yada yada yada. Yeah, that's her. I had a dream that she, for some reason, was my little sister. You know. Again, no funny stuff. No funny stuff. Right? Let's be mature. I could delete this video, but I'm gonna post it because I expect all of us to be mature. She's my little sister. She's on my bed. The current bed that I'm laying on right now. She's on the right of me. And she's just showing me her manga and stuff, man. That's about it. That's the dream. She's all cozy on my bed, reading manga, showing me her manga and whatnot. I don't know, that dream struck a chord with me. Because obviously I care for this girl, right? Yeah. Yeah, I care for this girl. I think what I'll do is I'll link the community post to this video so that you can read it in depth. It's not very long. Well, I'll post it just so that I'll link it just so that you can read the thoughts that I shared in there that I might be forgetting to share in this video. And I think a huge reason why I kind of care for this girl I'm choosing my words very carefully here because as soon as I start using words like adore, they get misconstrued by the audience. You can adore a puppy. It doesn't necessarily mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think a huge reason why I care for this girl, and I actually spoke about this in my community post a while back. I think I'll link that as well. I care for this girl because I don't know. In school, I liked hanging around. Um, then we were all kids, so I can say this now. I liked hanging around kids like that. You know, as a fellow kid at the time, kids just in their own worlds, dude. You know, I'll link the posts. I went in complete detail over there. Hopefully, you'll read them. Yeah, I liked hanging around kids in their own worlds because I was in my own. I established my own worlds with like my cartoons and my drawings and stuff. So I liked fantastical worlds. I liked cartoons. I liked anime. I liked video games. I liked all of that. I liked fantastic worlds. So it was only natural for me to gravitate towards sometimes hanging around these kids who were clearly kind of like not all the way in touch with this reality that we live in. Whether it be them being on the spectrum a little bit or them just having a, a great um, imagination, them being in tune so much with their imagination. And I hung around them sometimes because most of the time I was with my 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 homies, you know. Say my homies went home or whatever. Now it was just me on the school premises. I'll go hang around, you know, these kids and who are, you know, super creative or in their own worlds. And when you think about it, dude, that's what a kid's supposed to be. A kid is supposed to be this, you know, this little human being who's awfully imaginative and creative and just in their own space the whole time. No funny stuff, dude. No funny stuff. I know dudes are gonna try to make parallels between that and attraction. There's no attraction. Like I said, you can adore something without you being attracted to it in that kind of way. Right now, I'm thinking about how this very girl that I'm talking about, I say kind of, it's well past the kind of threshold, but she in a very concerning kind of manner, to a very concerning level, she upholds uh, she upholds, you know, I don't even like talking about it, man. The ideation of suicide and whatnot. to the point of self-harm and shit. Physical self-harm, like obvious self-harm and whatnot. And I guess I bring that up to further emphasize just how much I have her in my well wishes. Because I never really liked that kind of thing. Yes, no one likes suicide ideation. But I feel like it kind of bugged me more than the average person. Especially when it transcends to physical and bodily harm now. That's when it truly bugs me. Because how fucked up... I need to be careful here. How bad does your mental state have to be to harm yourself? And it seems to be universal, this whole thing of hurting yourself, because most most people who partake in self-harm, they all do it in like the same kind of way, like the I don't like talking about it, man. They all do it in the same way. It's a pattern. So there's clearly something objectively wrong with a lot of these people who suffer from depression. It's not ambiguous. It's clear. Which is why the forms of self-harm are the same, I think. I might be off the mark there, but it still bugs me. It bugs me, dude. Even with like people I interact with on a not on a daily basis, but like in person, and then I pick up on that. It bugs me to the point where I'll even want to just sit on my own and be all emotional about it. One thing that a lot of people fail to like, they often fail to bring up whenever they talk about matters that are beyond their ability is the intervention of God, and how it ought to take place in all these cases. Sometimes I get very sad whenever I hear people talk about these things that are out of their control, and then they never bring up how there is 110,000% hope for every negative thing that we deal with. So I wanted to be the one who kind of brings it up. God is real. He exists. He can cure us of all of our. We just have to tap in with Him, and it's hard to tap in with Him because He's ultimate good. We can all agree on this planet that there's ultimate bad. In fact, I'm recording this in one of the worst eras of, I don't know, like the worst generations, one of the worst times in our generation is essentially what I'm trying to say. I'm recording this and I don't even want to mention the things that make this particular generation and this particular era bad because I don't want to immortalize them in my videos. But yeah, there's ultimate bad. It's funny because we're always so comfortable in identifying and admitting that we live in very evil times, very devilish times, but we find it hard to acknowledge an absolute good, an absolute good. It's easier to destroy than it is to build. I can take the chair in my room and throw it through my window and destroy the window, but to repair the window is going to take a lot of work. Same with good and evil. It's easy to be evil, but it's incredibly hard to be good, which is why a lot of us don't ever recognize the goodness of God, myself included. I'm not speaking from a false sense of superiority or whatever. This video is all over the place. I talked about pedophilia. I talked about I talked about God. I talked about what else did I talk about? Everything, dude. I touched on everything. Pause. This video is all over the place. But I'm just grateful that I could have a pleasant dream where I'm with one of my favorite YouTubers, if not my favorite YouTuber, because she's so sincere, She's so sincere. She's like a hidden gem. As it stands right now, she's got close to. When I found her, she had like 550 something subscribers. Now she's got close to 1,000. So she's gradually amassing her audience. Yeah, she's very sincere, man. She's utterly herself. Utterly herself. And she's delicate, man. These kinds of people, I hate to say that, but like these kinds of people are very delicate. And this world is very harsh and it's very cruel. I just hope that people like her can find the necessary support structure in this very cruel world. Because dudes like me, we can afford to be pushed around. We can afford to, be discriminated against. We can afford to have people be mean towards us. We can afford to, because I've got, I won't necessarily say I've got thick skin, but I've got You know, I can take whatever is being thrown at me. Essentially, a lot of these people, they're very delicate, dude. They're very delicate. Most of them are kids. Most of them are kids, but she's an adult now. But still, my care extends to anyone who's of this kind of, I don't know how to put it, this kind of person, I guess. By the way, shout out to My Little Pony for like universally appealing to these kind of people. These kinds of people. You know, it's crazy. I was first exposed to My Little Pony appealing to a on the spectrum kind of kid at school. But then I hadn't known about it appealing to pretty much almost every kind of kid on the spectrum. I thought it was just unique to him. I didn't know that My Little Pony was the universal goat for on the spectrum people, not just kids but everyone. Universal pretty much. Okay, that's enough of this video. Thanks for listening.